This video is going to be about prejudging people, and the reason why I believe that it belongs on this channel is because this channel is about changing our thoughts, questioning our thoughts, and trying to think in new ways that are more beneficial to ourselves. And so many times people have thoughts about what an item means to them, and then they project that belief onto whoever is interacting with that item or wearing it or whatever. So let's say if you don't like Donald Trump, then you don't like anybody who supports Donald Trump. So there's like this idea that you're projecting everything you don't like about this one person onto another person. And if I don't like this shirt or this idea, I don't like anybody who promotes this shirt or this idea or whatever. So you're prejudging the beliefs, what you think this thing means to you, and then placing it onto another person. So I want to talk about that in this video because I've seen it happen over the last couple of days. So for me, I think gab.com represents free speech. It's a place where people can speak more freely than they can on other social media sites. Like on YouTube, I am very careful about what I say and don't say. I don't want to have to be so careful about that, but that is the world we live in this moment in time. But I am putting my things out there onto other social media sites like Gab. So I was supporting Gab because I want to put my energy and focus on what I do want, and free speech, a social media site where you can speak freely, is something that I do want. I have a group on there. If you want to join, you can check out my links. But so for this one, I bought a shirt and I was promoting it. I put it into the Gab Gear group, a picture of myself wearing it and saying thank you. And so somebody commented, again, this is a place where people can speak freely. It's not an echo chamber. So somebody commented on there that they thought that I was proudly wearing something that showed that I was a bigot and racist because I was wearing this shirt. And I thought to myself, it says gab.com. It doesn't say I am a racist. It doesn't say I'm a bigot on it. And I was thinking, this is just completely like my article about why are you offended, the real reason you were offended. So I'll leave a link below to that article if you want to read it. And I highly recommend it, not just because I wrote it, but because people are so offended these days and it has nothing to do with you. And so many people are walking around on eggshells trying not to offend other people when they have absolutely zero control over whether or not somebody else gets offended. So it's one of the most important ideas to get into people's heads, is that if you are offended, it is your problem. It is not my problem that you got offended by something that I said, did, wore, listened to, etc. So if you are offended, then you can change your beliefs to not be offended anymore. And as I said in the article, if you don't want to be offended, if you want to be free and no longer offended by what other people are doing or not doing, then that is great news. If you enjoy being offended because you're getting something out of playing the victim of you offended me, etc., then that is bad news, because the onus is on you to change your beliefs so that you are no longer offended by these things. It is very freeing and wonderful. It is like great news, like the gospel. It's great news to know that you can stop being offended by things if you want to not be offended by things. And so that's why I do suggest checking out the article. And it's very important for what I'm trying to say in this video, because if you see a shirt, gab.com, and you get offended by somebody who's wearing a shirt, gab.com, just because you have these beliefs, that's on you. It has nothing to do with the person wearing the shirt. Now, the thing is, you can ask, why are you wearing that shirt? If you want to know, if you truly want to know why somebody is wearing that shirt. But the thing is, people don't ask. So Instead, they just go around with these thoughts in their heads and then label you as a racist or bigot simply because they've got these beliefs. And so I saw somebody on Twitter today, and she said that she was just sort of annoyed, upset, because she liked these rainbow shirts, like with a rainbow color on it. And she said that it was getting to the point where somehow she was signaling people, and you know, they take it as like this dog whistle or something. They're seeing something that's not there. And they would just assume that she was gay because she was wearing this rainbow shirt. So she'd have people coming up to her and saying, "Oh, I didn't know you were gay." And she's like, "I'm not." And then they would say like, "Well, then why are you wearing that shirt?" So what's going on is these people have this perspective that if you wear anything with a rainbow flag or rainbow colors on it, then you are somehow gay or promoting the gay belief system or whatever, like the LGBT activism stuff. So the thing is, sometimes a rainbow shirt is just a rainbow shirt. Sometimes a gab shirt is just a gab shirt. You know, people are imagining all these various ideas about what that means to have that shirt on, when it's simply because, hey, it looked nice. I wore a shirt, and I was thinking about this before I saw the tweet, that was multicolored and rainbow, and it said Falcons on it. And I know it's not the Atlanta Falcons, but I don't know what team the Falcons are. But I wore the shirt because I like the way it looks. I think it's pretty. And yet somebody might say, "Oh, you're promoting the Falcons. Well, the Falcons did this, and I hate the Falcons, so I hate you." You know, this is just an example, but this is just how crazy people are today, where they say like, this thing means this. If you wear it or if you associate it with it, then you are that same thing that I don't like about that. So like, Donald Trump represents this, this, and that. And then if you are saying you'll vote for him, now you represent all that stuff that I hated. So that's why I hate you. And so I'm just kind of really sick of all this labeling people, it's stereotyping people into these little boxes. And so the same thing goes with the gender ideology. Like, if a little kid likes to wear a dress, then what? It's just a little kid who likes to wear a dress, right? But if a boy is doing it, now people would say, well, that's a girl thing, so maybe you're actually a girl. I mean, that's just a gender stereotype. Why are we stereotyping people into these boxes, right? So like the Gab shirt. So somebody would say, oh, there are racists on Gab, so therefore anybody else who uses Gab must be a racist. I mean, it's this extrapolation, it's these stereotypes. And I guess it's because of laziness, I think. People don't want to actually ask what that means to you. So if you were wearing something with a message and somebody else thought, you know, that message was bad, so that you must be bad, they could ask you, you know, like, what do you think that message, what does that message mean to you? And then you would tell them, and they would think, well, that's not what it means to me. And they could start to change their perspective, maybe, to understand, like, hey, this means something different to the person who was wearing it than it means to me. And then you can change your thoughts. Now, I guess the people who watch my channel are probably not going to be the types of people who would really prejudge people so often, I would hope. But if you are, the real good tip here is to ask somebody, what does that mean to you? So in this video, I think if there was one thing that you could get taken out of it, well, besides the whole offended thing, that offense is in the eye of the beholder and not you. But the second thing would be, if you see somebody wearing something or having a label and you immediately get a gut reaction like, oh, I don't like that. You know, why are they wearing that? Or why did they say that? The question you should ask them is, why are you wearing that? Why did you say that? ask inquisitively so that you can learn from what is their perspective about this thing. And so they'll tell you, and then you'll get a new idea. You'll like expand your mind. As I was talking about in my other video about going to past events and rethinking them, it's not like your past event, your trauma is going to just go away and you're no longer going to feel like this negative emotion about it by considering a new perspective of your higher self. You're going to get a more well-rounded perspective, right? So it's not that the one goes away, you just get a more well-rounded perspective. In this sense, you've got your prejudgment of something about what you think it means, and then you ask them, what do you think it means? And now you've got two different perspectives. And you can ask more people what they think it means, and you'll get all these other different perspectives. So you get like a whole well-rounded viewpoint of whatever this thing is. I think it's a lot, it's more kind, it's more compassionate to ask somebody what they think it means first before just placing that belief upon them. But people aren't doing that. They're not doing the work of asking people, what does that mean? They're just automatically prejudging people. So like with the example of the person who was posting on Twitter, if you were wearing a rainbow shirt out, somebody could ask you, hey, why are you wearing that rainbow shirt? Like, just not accusatory, but why? That's an interesting shirt. Why did you decide to wear it today? It's a weird question, right? Why do you care would be the most thought of response. But if you care why somebody's wearing a shirt, then ask the question, you know? Gab.com. Why are you wearing a Gab.com shirt? If you can ask and legitimately hear somebody's answer, you could get a completely different answer than what your perspective of why somebody would be wearing that particular thing. Everybody has a different meaning behind everything because we're all different, unique people. So we can't just assume that one person's meaning of this shirt is another person's meaning of this shirt. And honestly, who on earth would wear a Gab.com shirt to promote the idea, hey, I'm a racist, this is me, this is, you know, I'm a racist? Why would you have a shirt saying I'm a racist on it or Gab.com on it as if you were trying to promote the idea that you're racist? I mean, some of these beliefs are absolutely ridiculous, honestly. Another thing I wanted to talk about, which I may as well place in here, is the Ukraine-Russia stuff. And I know this is an odd place to put it, but it really relates. There's so many people who are thinking like, if you don't support, if you ask questions about Ukraine, then you're automatically a Putin supporter, right? And so I saw the same thing going on with Biden and Trump, because I would criticize something that Biden did, then somebody would say, oh, you're a Trump supporter. That's black or white thinking. It's like splitting. It's thinking in just polarity, right? You're either or, and there's no room for any kind of middle ground. There's no gray. And so it's completely illogical to say, if you don't like this, then you like that. It's not logical. Sorry, I think logically, I don't think emotionally. What people are doing are thinking emotionally, and that's why they're saying, if you don't like this, then you do like that. But it's illogical. And they're doing the same thing with, if somebody says, well, the Ukraine did this, and like it's some sort of criticism or something, you can believe that the Ukraine did this and that Russia did this and that they're both, you know, negatives here. That's where the black and white is. They both got some positives and they both got some negatives, and that's where you get this black and white middle ground. But I think what is going on is people really don't like the uncertainty. I think what's going on is that people have been really fearful, emotional over the last couple of years, more than other times in history of our, you know, well-known history of our lives here. And so the last couple of years have people in a high anxiety standpoint. And I don't think they like the uncertainty of, hey, it's complicated. Let's wait to figure something out. You know, there's lots of different things going on. And I think they just want it to be black and white so that they can say, I'm on the right side, there's a wrong side, and I'm on the right side. And they just, so that they can feel stable, so that they don't have to feel like the other. Because right now what's going on is people are othering. They're othering a lot of people. Like, if you don't say, like, I stand with Ukraine, like, that's the big thing that's out on social media. If you don't say that, then people are like, well, why don't you stand with Ukraine? Because you must be a Putin supporter or whatever. You must support Russia now, you know? So I saw somebody today saying, if you don't support the Ukraine, then you are standing with our enemy. Our enemy. If you don't support the Ukraine, it doesn't mean that you're also standing with Russia. That's illogical. But emotional people think this way. And another thing I wanted to point out is the drama triangle. Now, I've talked about this before. It's huge with me. I've also got a podcast on my website if you want to go listen to that, an introduction to the drama triangle. And the drama triangle consists of the persecutor, the victim, and the savior. What's going on right now is people are finding themselves really attached to the drama. And in their minds, Putin and Russia are the persecutor. Ukraine is the victim. And some people want US to be the savior, to go in there and do something. And that is the drama triangle, really, in a nutshell. And the thing is, we are powerless when we're in the drama triangle. We are completely powerless and disempowered. People who are emotional really love it. They love to feel like, I'm the savior. You know, I stand with Ukraine. I am the savior. I'm on the good side. Versus, oh, you're with Putin? Then you are the bad guy. You're the persecutor. Why are you siding with the enemy? Why are you siding with our enemy? People in the US actually are literally saying that he is our enemy. Our. That means our whole country. We don't know that. And the thing, there's so many things in this world that we have absolutely no idea about. The Dunning-Kruger effect is that when you first learn about a subject, it goes, your confidence on that subject is really high. And then when you learn a little bit more about the subject, you start to learn that you don't really know as much as you thought you did, and your confidence plummets. And then you start learning a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. Now, yes, I will say that I do not know that much about the Russia-Ukraine stuff. Now, I've watched some videos from multiple standpoints, which is a little bit better than some people. And so there's a little bit more nuance. I'll share a link if you want that. But there's so many people out there who are still at that peak thinking, I know all I need to know about this. Russia's been our enemy. He's always our enemy. And so if he attacks somebody else, then that somebody else must be the good guy and he must be the bad guy. And so there you go. And there's so much nuance that we're not getting. Plus, of course, there's so many fake news stories out there, even from the mainstream media folks. And that shouldn't be a surprise. Another thing besides the Dunning-Kruger effect that should be well known is the Gell-Mann Amnesia effect. And this is when you understand that the media has lied to you upon one subject, and then you go forward and you see a new subject and you believe everything they're saying about that. It's because you have amnesia and forgot that, hey, they don't really actually know what they're talking about. So I am very well aware that the media has put out fake news, false information, lots even about Russia and Ukraine in the last couple of days. So why on earth would anybody believe what they're saying about everything else? I mean, they've lied about so many things besides this. I mean, there's the COVID stuff. They've lied about so much stuff. So I don't have Gell-Mann amnesia, but a lot of people do. And it's just something important to keep an eye on, to question your beliefs about something. Is if they were wrong about this story that I know that they were wrong about, why do I think they're right about this story? So that's one thing to keep in mind, is with the Russia-Ukraine stuff, there's a lot of places where they've been wrong. So don't forget that they're not always that honest. I also highly suggest watching the movie Wag the Dog. And you will see how much propaganda can sway people and how much just one picture that could be wrong. It's on people's emotional heartstrings. And people have already had this, mass formation psychosis stuff going on. And so they're already feeling just sort of fearful and ready to be focused in on one laser pointed subject. And now we've got a laser pointed subject that even, it's not just leftists, where mostly it was leftists on the COVID stuff, but it's not just leftists anymore. Now there's people from the right who are really focused on, Ukraine good, Russia bad, drama triangle stuff. And I'm not saying that Russia is good. And couldn't that be more clear in this video? It's just not logical to say that if you are disagreeing with one person, it doesn't mean that you're automatically agreeing with somebody else. It's not logical. And I'm not even saying that I disagree with Ukraine. I don't know. I'm in the I don't know, curve on the Dunning-Kruger effect graph, right? But I want to learn a little bit more, but at the same time, it's really not prudent to focus so much attention on something that is around the world when we have so much stuff going on in our own backyards. And I mean, that's a whole nother subject, right? People get so focused on things that they cannot control. That's what I talked about with the drama triangle. It is disempowering. It's completely disempowering. When you say, like, I stand with Ukraine, and then what else are you doing? Well, you're doing nothing else, and everything else is going on. So, if you're really emotionally invested in this, that's where your thoughts are, and you have no control over what's going on. It's like becoming a willful slave to whoever or whatever you're emotionally invested in that you have absolutely no control over. When you leave the drama triangle, then you have control. You have control over the things in your life that are going on. And so that's really what I want to focus on being able to do on my channel, is help people get out of the drama triangle. Stop focusing on what other people are doing or not doing. How to create a better world is not saying I stand with Ukraine. It's by praying, like going inside of yourself, meditating, focusing on the peace and love and joy that you want to see in the world. Saying that somebody else is an enemy, othering them as evil, it's like pointing a finger and having three pointed back at you. And I've seen this so much, and I'm just like, why are people, it's like being a hypocrite, right? Pointing out like, oh, that guy did that thing, when you are doing something very similar, like you have the same thing. What we judge in other people is oftentimes what's going on inside of us that we don't want to look at. And so if you look at yourself and clean those things in yourself, you're no longer going to be judging other people for doing those things. And I think that maybe I can see a little bit more clearly and have that farther away standpoint, because I've already taken that personal responsibility to clean my issues myself and not say that they're the fault of somebody else outside of me. Because if things that are going wrong in your life are the fault of somebody else that's outside of you, then you're a willful slave of what that person does or does not do. When they move, you move. But if you are the one who is in charge of how you feel, then what other people do or don't do has absolutely no effect on you. You can stay stable here. And that's what I want for people, is to be able to be stable in yourselves and not being so emotionally invested in what other people are doing or thinking or whatever. And so this was a very mixed up video, but I hope you get the point. So let's go back to the whole idea is like Gab, right? I was talking about if you see this. So if somebody is saying maybe the Ukraine did something to cause Putin to want to invade, right? If somebody said something like that, your first instinct shouldn't be to say, then they stand with Russia. It's just the person is questioning, and we are supposed to be questioning things. That is the whole point of, at least in the self-help group, right? This idea that we want to have better thoughts and think differently. We are supposed to be questioning. We are supposed to be wondering, you know, is that really the case or is it not? Never be afraid to question things. You could be right. You could be right. But ask yourself the question, because what if you're not? It's so important to question our beliefs. And so if you see somebody out there and you think, you know, why are they doing that? That thing is wrong. Why not ask them, why did you do that? So that you can learn and understand their perspective. Because you will get a new perspective, and it will be beneficial for you to understand different people's perspectives. You don't have to agree with that perspective, but it's beneficial to understand why they did that thing. Why is somebody wearing that particular shirt? We should be able to calmly ask these things. Why is somebody asking questions about the Ukraine? Why is somebody asking questions about Russia? Why is somebody asking questions about these things? It's because they've been lied to so many times. It's because they're curious, because they want to learn more. It doesn't mean that they're going to side with somebody negative. Honestly, I have a question is, why aren't you questioning things if that's the case, right? Why aren't you questioning? We're supposed to be questioning things. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to leave a comment below. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. If you do, then great. I'm glad you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it made you think of some new things. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you're on any of the following platforms, consider subscribing to my content there also. My videos are available on Gab TV, Rumble, Odyssey, and YouTube. You can also join my Law of Attraction life coaching groups on Telegram, MeWe, Gab, and Minds. And I've now added a locals group where you can support me to get exclusive content. I'm also on Twitter and Getter. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and consider sharing the video with friends or family. Have a great day.